Hello, and thank you for joining me on 8 I Am Maggie. I really appreciate your support here. And, at the beginning of our new year, we had our friend Believe here, but I had seen the class with Billy Carson and King Simon, where he was saying, we're not going to believe, we're going to know. So we are going to call into being that which we are going to do and manifest. So I had made those videos on grounding yesterday. There's some shorts, and then there's a short video because I am coming off of the Brian Scott RealityCon 3 challenge, but then I also was at the Billy Carson and Dr. B. Sirius, I think. I apologize if I was saying your name wrong, Cyrus or Sirius. But anyway, it was just so motivating because one of the very first things that Dr. B. Sirius covered was about, like, they hit health. Because you know what? Health is your greatest abundance. And with that health, one is able to create great wealth. So I just thought that was fantabulous. And so I made that video on grounding. There's basically, when I ground, of course, we take our shoes or our slippers off, we stand and ground or sand or water, whatever is earthly, and so we can soak up the earth, right? But I also like to kind of first, when I breathe in and out, just let drain out of me into the earth. She can handle it, whatever needs to go in that particular day. So you saw the videos. Hopefully, they'll get better because as you can see, I'm learning about the videoing. But when I get more help, I'm sure my videos are going to be more amazing. And so, as you know, as Josiah Brandt says from School of Imagination, imagine wisely. So we want to imagine wisely. So I want to just have a little discussion about grounding because it's important. So grounding, it connects us to the Mother Earth and the wisdom of her and her healing. Okay? And there are so many benefits when we ground. So please look at my last video if you kind of aren't sure what to do or how to do it. Just also don't freak out. There's really no real wrong way. Like, you want to take your shoes off or your slippers or your flip-flops, whatever you call them in the mainland, and you want to put your feet in the sand or the dirt or the grass so that you're able to have that contact with the earth. So let's say that you hug a tree. Okay, some people might not be that comfortable. Me, I don't really care. So I'm going to hug the tree and as much contact as you can get. Or sometimes you might just sit under the tree, having parts of you with contact with the tree, the back, or your parts of your body on the ground at the base of the tree and such. One of my favorite ways actually is going to the beach and laying in the sand or digging a hole and getting in the sand and covering up. I mean, you can actually feel the breathing of the earth and you can feel the pulse. So, but that's also can be felt if you submerge yourself in the ocean. So one of the things I've also kind of talked to you guys about is here the Navy has been poisoning our largest aquifer. So one of the caveats that I wanted to add with grounding is to be sure that where you're doing it, the land is healthy. It's not been poisoned. It's not full of chemicals or, AFFF or any of those things. It's just something to think of because I've been learning about that in my own personal life. So grounding. It's that bodily contact with the Earth's natural electrical charge, and it stabilizes the physiology of our bodies and our mind and our hearts and our souls at the deepest level. Now, if you're doing those, the heart coherence, so look up Kyle Boyd and Leah Rush. They're having a heart coherence 30-day challenge for free. and it's going to start on Valentine's Day. So if you're not getting love, you're going to that now, and you're going to be receiving more love than you can handle. But when you're doing those heart coherence meditations, boy, I'm telling you, when you're grounded, the charge and the revitalization is major. The heart coherence is even greater. Okay, also, we contact the Earth's surface, and in that process, we are getting that exchange of electrons that just helps to revitalize the body. So, grounding offers many, many, many health benefits. So, I'm going to read some of them to you. Okay. You know how inflammation is, like, the more that they go into, medical, and they're like, wow, this caused this and this caused this. When they boil it down to the simplest, denominator, it's inflammation. Well, grounding brings down inflammation throughout the body. Yeah. Or as Dr. B. Sirius would say, yay, clap. It also improves sleep. It also normalizes the day-night cortisol rhythm. And this actually effectively helps your sleep and wake cycles. It also helps reducing stress. Cortisol, it's a whole another conversation, but just know cortisol is a big deal. And in the process of being able to help normalize that, you're going to have less mood swings. You're going to fall asleep easier, have deeper sleep, and wake more refreshed, and have an easier time waking. Anybody who's taking those medications and things, they have that, or alcohol, they have that morning hangover type of feeling. When you use the grounding, it really helps to normalize the cortisol, so that, like I said, you can fall asleep easier, sleep deeper, and wake more refreshed, and that waking is easier. It reduces pain. Grounding reduces pain. Grounding reduces stress. Grounding, so check this out. It shifts the autonomic nervous system from a sympathetic, so that's like stress, the lion, the tiger, the bear, 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 towards the parasympathetic activation, which is chill, relax, listening to, Billy Carson's affirmations, listening to Brian Scott's deep meditations, listening to Josiah Brandt's Neville Goddard, listening to Renee Garcia's meditations, like whatever, Dr. Joe Dispenza, you just in it to win it here. So that's a big one, because it's taking you from the frazzled to the chill. Okay, and that's without a pill too. Remember that. This is the thing. You can do so many things without taking meds, because every time that we take a med, especially if it's synthetic, I'm not talking about natural things, but it puts a block between your body. It suppresses you, one, but it also puts a block between you and your natural processes to find its way back to healing. And so for me, the way I like to describe it is, when we take meds for things, it actually kind of, like at a bar, when you create a tab, or a restaurant, you create a tab. When you're doing those things, it creates a tab with your anxiety, your stress, whatever, because you're just suppressing it and tucking it somewhere. And dis-ease turns into disease. And we don't want that. So grounding is a great way. Take a ground. Okay. It improves heart rate variability and function. So that's really important, because the heart pumps blood to everywhere. So we want to be able to have a strong heart that can handle variable heart rates and can have a great function. Okay, and the heart helps, certain things work out. Everybody's better when their heart works better. If you ever see people who have heart disease, you will see they have a dusky look. It's pale. There's usually dark circles. And sometimes you're going to see, when the heart is really not functioning well, you will see edema. swelling in the, usually at the lower extremities, but sometimes it can come up into the upper extremities. And they can also have really big weight fluctuations because they're just, the heart's not functioning well. So the body isn't able to get the fluid off. And so they're, you know, and it's painful. It's actually not fun to be carrying all around all that water weight. So if you kind of even think of your girl when she has her period, a lot of times people with that excess water weight, they're just not happy campers. Well, people who have heart disease or their heart's not functioning well, that's a lot of times why they're irritable. Perfusion, blood flow to the brain and stuff isn't great, making them more irritable. It slows, it reduces your ability to metabolize, so your energy's not so good. And if you're hauling around extra water weight, it's very uncomfortable. So ground. End of the story. All roads lead back to grounding. So, and improve it, so by helping the heart and in general, grounding will help improve your blood flow. So it speeds wound healing. That is a big deal. If you are a nurse or you're a doctor or you're just care, and because pretty much everybody at some point is going to deal with either their self or a family member. And it's funny when you're a nurse, everybody's like, oh, look at this. You know, they want to show you their wounds. But anyway, of all kinds. But anyway, I'm just saying, like, when you deal with that, to be able to offer something that's non-invasive to somebody to help speed up their wound healing time is a big, big deal and amazing. It reduces blood viscosity, which can reduce and prevent clots. So you know how you've been kind of hearing one of the risk factors for, you know, taking certain vaccines has been blood clots, or when people have issues with their liver, they don't metabolize, the platelets and things don't work right, so they're prone to clots. Well, I'm not saying this cures all, but I'm saying it's one thing that you can do that will reduce blood viscosity, which is going to make it more thicker and at greater risk for clots. And you don't want clots. If you have a clot in your heart, it's a heart attack. If you get a heart in your brain, it's a stroke. If you get a heart in your lungs, it's a pulmonary embolus. And if you get a clot in your legs, it's a pulmonary thrombosis. I mean, it's a deep vein thrombosis. So all of those are not fun because the blood flow can't get to the organs and it's painful. And it takes a long time to resolve, if at all. So it improves tissue and cell repair. So, like, that goes back to wound care, but in general, wouldn't you like, if you're trying to keep looking good and youthful, wouldn't you like your tissue and cells to be able to repair better? The other thing I want you to be thinking about is I want you to be thinking about inflammation. Well, you know, thinking about it leaving the building with grounding. But think about trauma, physical, mental, emotional, whatever kind of trauma, but especially if it's a blunt trauma or you're hit. Think about surgeries. Think about inflammation. Think about injuries. If you're an athlete, grounding is going to help you heal at a faster rate. Okay, it improves the activity with the brain. So we could all utilize that, right? What I've noticed when it moves us from sympathetic to the parasympathetic, so to chill, that just helps the brain to be able to relax. And you know, when you're in a relaxed state, a lot of times you can think through things. Now, sometimes, okay, hype state, of course, I mean, that also helps too, but if you're staying in that hype state for prolonged periods, your functioning is going to go down. Okay, another thing it does is it releases endorphins. Guys, instead of taking narcotics or whatever, alcohol or whatever, it helps release endorphins. Yay! Okay, these endorphins are hormones secreted from the brain and the nervous system. And they are peptides that activate the body's opioid receptors, causing an analgesic effect, which is, what is that? It's pain reducing. How is this? By grounding. So you see, we were meant to connect to the earth. We were meant to move with the mother's rhythms and to honor the environment and to be in her and connected to her and on her and honoring her and all of that. So, sorry, I get excited when I just think about ways we can heal. Okay, it also, okay, so those endorphins help reduce pain, discomfort, it puts you in a good mood, and it raises your self-esteem, and it increases pleasure. So, you can take that one on your own. And some other ways for you to get release endorphins would be exercise, massage, eating, and other pleasurable activities that are personal. But that's the point. You see, grounding provides you another way of releasing endorphins without taking pills. Okay, its benefits can be felt almost immediately. Like when I go and I ground, I can feel the effects almost immediately. But everybody's different. Sometimes when they first begin grounding, they don't actually feel it at first. And it's kind of like meditation. It takes them a little while to sort of get used to it. So some people are going to just be, boom, immediate, tuning fork to the earth. And other people might be a little bit like ice cube that's melting on a hot day. Whatever you are and whoever you are, persist. Don't give up, because if you do the grounding, you will benefit from it. Like, you will start to see the changes, and it's miraculous. Okay, and so, you have to learn your body and be patient and never, ever, ever give up. And it helps to restore the natural electrical balance, and it gives us a general feeling of well-being. And if you are feeling good, like I should, when you're feeling good, like you should, and that well-being's in that state, you're going to be able to hold your higher vibration, energy, and frequency, and you're going to be able to be emitting those higher order values to people. You're going to be able to hold love. You're going to be able to hold joy. Okay, and so this is something, I'm just remembering this. I learned this from, oh, by the way, I learned my grounding from Dr. Rui Bryburn and Kauakea in Hawaii. There are these teachers in this school called Sacred Path, and they are just amazing. But Dr. B. Sirius, he brought this up. So when I was saying that grounding gives you that general feeling of well-being, he brought this up, and Dr. Rui Bryburn and Kauakea had also taught us this in our class. But on the map of consciousness, and if you haven't seen that, just Google it, because if you're down in the low, you don't heal if you're 200 and below. Once you start hitting the vibrational conscious scale about 200 and you hit courage, you begin to start healing. The lower energy vibrations, but what I love about the scale of consciousness is it tells you like where you could be. So if you're apathetic, just blah, it can tell you like where you need to move in the direction. Like for instance, if you're in fear, you're going to be moving towards courage. It helps you to understand the poles. And I'm going to be talking about Hermetic principles in the Kybalion at some point. But in the scale of consciousness with these different ranges, Dr. B. Cyrus and Dr. Rui Bryburn brought up that one person vibrating at the level of true love, which is 500, counterbalances 750,000 individuals who vibrate much lower. So when we are grounding, we are able to move up that map of consciousness up. Just keep doing your work. If you do the work will do you. But once you hit around 200 courage, you're going to start moving up into the higher vibrations. The higher you are vibrating, the more you're going to be able to offset all the madness. And there is a beautiful story about this guy who was up in Alaska, and he had bad obstructive sleep apnea. He was just sick. He just felt crappy all the time. He didn't metabolize his food well. He just felt bad, and he just wasn't doing well. And of course, Alaska, they have that cold, but they also have a lot of they go through long periods of darkness and stuff. And in the process, he was just not feeling well. And a gentle spirit, the gentle voice of the spirit came to him and told him to undress and crawl under his house and lay in the earth. So he did that. And that's another thing. He couldn't sleep. Bad, couldn't sleep. So he thought, okay, this is crazy, but I'm desperate. So he walked outside of the house. He found, I guess, like the house slopes. So he found a part under the house where it laid in the dirt. He took his clothes off. He crawled under the house. He laid in the dirt. And he just felt the release. I mean, he felt amazing. And then what happened is, unbeknownst to him, he woke up about 12 or so hours later. And he was feeling amazing. He crawled back out, went back into the house, and realized there was something about being in contact with the earth. And that led him towards a journey in learning more about grounding. And he was also able to help so many other people. They would start grounding, and their obstructive sleep apnea would disappear. So there's so many great stories around grounding, but when you really think about it, we didn't used to be like in these, buildings and wearing rubber-soled shoes and, all these things, being around all these chemicals and stuff. We used to walk the earth. We used to be in the earth. We used to make our own food in our own gardens. We used to eat off our own land. We used to fish in our own waters. We used to pick, we knew when fruits and vegetables were blooming, and we picked and ate with the season. So it makes so much sense. So before I forget, I just want to say there are grounding sheets. There are all kinds of products out there, but if you would please go to Forbidden Knowledge. Just go to the Forbidden Knowledge, Billy Carson, hit his website up, go to the shop, and it has the earthing. And just press on there. It has a link for you to go to. The product that they have on their website is it's earthing, and it's great for grounding. So please check that out on Forbidden Knowledge. Just walk on over there and put your thing, Forbidden Knowledge with Billy Carson, and go into his shop. It's in the shop. Just press the earthing, and it'll have a whole video in there. And the other thing I wanted to do in closing, well, not in closing, a couple things. In the God Power Blueprint, Dr. B. Cyrus was saying, think in ink. Okay, so think about this. A lot of you who are old school, if you're not old school and you're newer school, I'm going to tell you, in my days, the nuns and the teachers in general had you writing. You wrote everything. I will be good. I will sit still. I will do my homework, whatever it was. Your multiplications. And why did we write things down? Because it's stuck in your brain. When you have, Dr. B. Sirius says, kinesic, auditory, and there's one more. Kinesic, auditory. Okay, hold on, guys. I got this. Kinesic, auditory. Okay, I'm going to get this for you. It's not about being perfect. It's about doing my best. Okay, let's see. Kinesic, auditory, and visual. When we're doing writing, that's what happens. That's also what happens when you, so in nursing, when we're teaching you to do something like clean a wound, we will show you, and then you have to demonstrate back to us. That's another form of maybe not writing, think in ink, but think and demonstrate. So anyway, I want to grasp on this concept because Louise Hay taught about it. I was taught this by the nuns when I was a kid and my teachers, but I want you to think in ink. and draw yourself a picture, you know? And in nursing, we like to go from head to toe. So we want to, as Josiah Brandt would say in Neville Goddard's work and Brian Scott, we want to remember to imagine wisely. So the reason I want us to think in ink like Dr. B. Cyrus and get this draw your little stick man is because I want you to draw yourself and I want you to imagine wisely. And then I want you to open your heart. You're going to be grounding. I want you to open your heart to gratitude and be thankful for grounding and the benefits it gives you. And when you make your little stick man, what you can do is you can go back through this video and you can go from head to toe marking what it's going to do to benefit you. For instance, in the head, sleep, inflammation from head to toe, inflammation, pain, stress, endocrine and cortisol support, relieving pain, head to toe. And you can just like kind of mark it so that you can claim it, because like Reverend Ike says, you want to decide it, believe it, see it, and feel it. So since we're not playing around with our healing and our future careers of service and our abundance that's coming down the road, we want to be 100 large and in charge, committed to what we're doing. So grounding is one of the greatest ways you can help yourself to like be in your full power without any outside substances, where you can just be in your full power and go within and magnify that God power blueprint. So I want to just encourage you, like, this is something that you can do. Think in ink. You can, and demonstration, you can do this when in any kind of tool you're working. You can just make your stick man and you can say, okay, I'm working on this principle now. This is where it's benefiting. So it's going in your mind and you are imagining wisely and your heart's open and you have gratitude. Oh, one more thing I want to say about grounding. Let's say though that you're a nurse or you're in finance or you're wherever and you got your shoes on and you're in a building and it's 44 feet up or stories or whatever. Okay. It's not as easy to ground, but the more that you practice grounding in the earth, if you need to call in energy and you need to ground from these places, you're going to use your energy body to do that. So never, ever, ever give up. Let's imagine wisely. Let's be grateful. Let's do like Dr. B. Cyrus says, think in ink. I also want to encourage you to check out Brian Scott. He has the most amazing content and meditations and affirmations out of this world. So it's kind of a way to like, if you don't have to reinvent wheels or, you know, do your searching, but it's like there's so much out there just right there at your fingertips. And I'm just really loving Billy Carson's affirmations and his music list as well. Okay, so in closing, I saw this and it just touched my heart as I'm just loving on the mother. And it's author is unknown, and I just wanted to read it to you. Mother Earth, hear me calling. I'm your daughter, you're my home. Sister Moon, hear me calling. Father, in the night, we're not alone. Father, Son, hear me calling. Let your strong light shine in me. All my ancestors stand by me and teach my spirit to be free. So I'm going to like read it one more time and I'm going to change daughter to son. Mother Earth, hear me calling. I'm your son, you're my home. Sister Moon, hear me calling. In the night, we're not alone. Father Sun, hear me calling. Let your strong light shine in me. All my ancestors stand by me and teach my spirit to be free. So with that, I am just so thankful for all of you. I am imagining wisely for you all. I am having so much gratitude for you all, and I do hope this video on grounding helps. And when you can, please hit like and subscribe and leave your positive comments. And you know, I'm motivated to help others heal, and I'm learning as I'm learning that people need to hear all this stuff more. Like sometimes you take for granted what you know, like King Wayne over there encouraging me to teach what I know. But sometimes you don't realize, like, you don't have to be like Dr. B. Cyrus and as popular as he is, and as, you know, proficient and as, or Dr. Rui Ryburn. Like, you just need to do what you can from where you are, and that's what I'm doing. Like Reverend Ike says, I decided, I believe it, I see it, I feel it, and so it is, and so it is, and so it is. So you know what's next. Peace in, peace out, much love to you all.